Right, we are hopefully live on a very, quite frankly, dark and miserable Friday. But I guess at this time of the year, it's only to be expected. Let's just sort this out. Right, get the speed on this walking pad up because I have steps to do today, and I'm going to talk for the next 15-20 minutes. I might as well try and get as many steps in as possible, but at the same time, I don't want to fall over. What we're going to cover today: 5 signs your nutrition plan is wrong for you. The mistake that a lot of 40+ executives make is trying to follow something they've just downloaded off the internet or they've bought in a book. Some of you might not actually be following a plan whatsoever, but you will still find you will experience these 5 things. And if you don't know what to look for in terms of, how do you identify if you are doing something that is not right for you? If you don't know what to look for, then quite frankly, you can end up just wasting a lot of time, which a lot of you do. Obviously, we're almost at the end of the year. Some of you are going to start now. Still, I'm still talking to guys who want to start their nutrition, their fitness journeys like now, even though it's a week, just over a week before Christmas. But some of you will start in January. But regardless of when you start, a lot of you will fail because the nutrition plan you follow isn't right for you. So if you follow this advice in this live and you come across any of these 5 things, you hopefully will say to yourself, okay, I shouldn't probably be experiencing this at this point. Sometimes some of the things I'm going to talk about will be, and I'll talk about this as we go, will be kind of where you are in the journey. But for the most part, I'll be talking about if you haven't started yet, or if you've just started, what are the things to look for that should make you think, that isn't right, something needs to change. Because a lot of the times when you follow a nutrition plan, a workout plan, anything to do with fitness, the feedback you get from your body and your results and how you feel will often give you the feedback you need to make changes. But for a lot of you, you don't know what to change, or you don't look out for it, and it ultimately just ends up being the reason why you quit. And some of these will relate to problems you have at any time, and some of them might be a little bit more specific to just starting in January. So let's go into them. They're in no particular order, although not to be one of those people that says this, but point number 5, what I was going to do last, is probably maybe the most important. We'll see. Point number 1, you are constantly hungry. Hunger is a part of the process. I don't look at hunger as being I'm either not hungry, so I'm either full all the time, or I'm starving. It's more of a spectrum. And typically, as you diet for longer and you become leaner, the hunger goes up. So start of the journey, hunger should be fairly low. If you're not actually, if you haven't started, you have, what we would consider no hunger. You might get hungry, but not like what we're talking about. And then on the other end of the spectrum, somebody doing a bodybuilding competition, for example, like when I did mine, can quite literally experience hunger all day. I'm at that point a little bit now. I've had some nights where even the hunger has kept me up at night a little bit. But that's not you. And I remember seeing, it was one of my clients sent me, and I always use this example, sent me the link to a post from LinkedIn, which is one of the places that I'm live right now, of somebody, I can't remember who it was, complaining that they're starving because they're trying to lose weight. And this is the part that's important, even though it'd only been 3 days. That isn't normal. Anybody that knows better should think to themselves, I've only been dieting for 3 days. I shouldn't be starving. And obviously, what I found with clients over the years, and this is important, sometimes what you think is starving or hungry isn't like that bad. It's just, some people just aren't used to actually letting themselves feel hunger. So there is an element of just getting used to being a little bit hungry. But for the most part, if you are just starting, you shouldn't be constantly hungry. It shouldn't be a problem. The most common struggle my clients have, it's almost a complaint, and I say this all the time, is that they are too full, which is good really, because a lot of them will come to me and say, I've tried starving myself in the past and it hasn't worked. I got hungry and the hunger led to binges, and then the binges led to too many calories, and then I gave up. One bad day turned into a week, and then before they knew it, 6 months has passed. So for them to kind of struggle to eat all the food I want them to eat might feel like a bit of a burden for them. Because quite frankly, being full all the time can be a bit of a pain as well. But it's nice to know that at the end of the day, if you start the process not hungry, and you can drop 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 kilos before the hunger starts to kick in, by that point, you would have seen more results, you've built more momentum, probably have more confidence in yourself, and you've built better habits, and continuing becomes a little bit easier. If you're experiencing too much hunger at the start of a weight loss journey, you have probably done one of 2 things, or both, 3 things possibly. Set the calories too low. You're just under eating. If you're under eating and you don't know anything about nutrition, you probably have also started with your protein too low. And there's a good chance you probably started with too much cardio, which, if you think about it, calories are low, which means you haven't got much food. Cardio goes up, which is using some of the food, so there's not much energy availability. And then if you've got low protein, maybe if you're choosing the wrong foods, you just end up hungry. Shouldn't be a problem initially. Number 2, you have low energy, you're always tired. Whether that is just day to day, in business, or in training. Again, not ideal, because when you're low in energy, a few things happen. Well, one, you can't, continue to do the things you need to do as a husband or a dad. Training gets hindered, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So you can't perform as well, possibly resulting in muscle loss. And business becomes challenging. You can't think clearly, you're not productive. And that is not ideal for executives, especially where you have high stress jobs, you have lots of decisions you have to lead. You can't really be walking around like a zombie. So energy levels being too low is a massive sign that something isn't right. Why? Well, again, you've probably done one or 2 things. You've probably done, or both at the same time, very similar to being hungry. Calories too low, and or activity too high. And let's be honest, a lot of men will do the same, make both of those mistakes. Calories go too low, chuck out all the food, and then decide to go to the gym 6 days a week, do 100 classes, sign up for a marathon, whatever. If your energy is too low, put your food up. Like, look at your calories. Number 3, related to that, will be strength coming down. You shouldn't be losing strength. I was chatting to a guy the other day at the gym, was dieting for just a trip abroad, like a little holiday, a couple of weeks back, and decided to do like a kind of a 6-week just to get a little bit of fat off. And he was complaining that he was struggling in the gym for energy, and that knock-on effect was he was losing strength. That might not seem like a problem, because you might be thinking, well, my goals aren't to be a strong man. I don't need to be overly strong. But if you're losing strength, that can be a sign that you are losing muscle. And if you're losing muscle, that can have a real big impact on things like your metabolism, how you look at the end of your weight loss journey. You know, do you look skinny fat, like a smaller version of yourself, which is what a lot of men say to me, or do you look athletic? And then the combination of a reduced metabolic rate and what happens when you lose muscle is the body kind of wants you to eat to get the lean body mass back, so it increases your appetite. And appetite and hormone hunger signals, all the things when you diet, they get messed up anyway. So basically what happens is you end the weight loss journey and you have fewer calories being burnt because your metabolism is dropped. That's also a problem just from losing body weight. And you have more hunger. And what you'll see is somebody will lose 5 kilos and they'll gain back 7 from fat, not muscle regain. Then they'll spend a period of time, you know, just going back to their everyday life, put health and fitness, sweep it under the rug. They'll lose another 5 kilos and they'll gain 7 or 8. And over time, the body fat starts to go up. Muscle obviously doesn't recover because you're not doing the strength training. So your body composition gets worse. You just have less muscle, more fat. This is referred to in the literature as collateral fattening. So that is just one of the things that happens if you lose muscle. So we want to be energized in the gym. And this is just another reason why actually doing strength training is important. As a slight digression, even if you don't want to be a bodybuilder, you don't want big bulging biceps, you don't care about that stuff, you still have to do some resistance training just to maintain the muscle you will possibly lose as a result of trying to lose body fat. So keep an eye on your strength. The next one, kind of what we've done so far: hunger, energy, strength. Number 4, a bit more practical in terms of what relates to executives, is that you can't sustain it. Like, it isn't something you can do unless everything's perfect. You're eating at home or you're eating in the office, you can prepare foods. What I mean by that is it isn't something you can stick to if you are traveling, if you are having a social life, or you are doing business events, or you are having client lunches or drinks with your team, for example. Just everyday real world stuff for executives, husbands, dads. If you're struggling to do both, and this is typically a result of things like, again, calories being too low, because if your calories are too low, then you don't really have the budget. Think of calories like a budget. You don't have the calories to play with for the extra glass of wine or the extra beer or the extra salad. So you can't really have any treats. It's like very restrictive. But if you've also got a plan that's these foods are banned, I must eat at these times, I must have these foods, I can't eat breakfast, or I have to eat breakfast, or I can't eat after 4, can't eat after 7, whatever it is. If you've got all these rules, then it doesn't align with your lifestyle. That is an obvious sign that the nutrition plan is wrong for you. That should be the most obvious one. If you think to yourself, I can't follow this nutrition plan unless I literally sit at home, don't have a social life, or I sit in the office and take Tupperware with me, I should be a slap in the face to be like, this isn't a lifestyle. This is just a fad diet. And yet guys will try to persevere until ultimately they just say, fuck it, can't do it anymore. And then strangely, a lot of you will then try and do the same thing 6 months later, as if your life has changed. I'm laughing because it's so silly. Let me say that again. I'm laughing because it's stupid. It's not silly and stupid. Well, how do we fix that? Well, I've been talking about this a lot lately. I talk about it every bloody day. Instead of having a strict nutrition plan with set rules, certain foods that are banned, certain times, all the little details that probably only matter if you're trying to be a professional athlete, you ditch all those and you have a framework which is flexible. You have a nutrition plan that you can adapt to your lifestyle. Quick examples I don't have to go into, because I've done whole half an hour lives on this recently, so you can find it. But let's say instead of following a low carb diet, which is great when you can control carbs, but suddenly you find yourself eating, an Italian restaurant with your wife. And yeah, you might be able to get some fish or a steak, but at some point you're going to want some carbohydrates. You just have a plan that allows you to go higher with the carbs on that day. Shock. This might be news to you, but eating pasta and fruit and carbohydrates won't stop you from losing weight. What it will allow you to do, with the ability to move things around, change it based on your life, will allow you to be consistent. And consistency, even when it can't be perfect, ticking the boxes day in, day out for 3, 6, 12 months will completely transform your body, your health, your fitness, and will do so in a way where you can, hand on heart, say, yeah, this was, it was challenging at times, but because it fits my lifestyle, because I have the understanding on how to adapt it, I've done it while I've traveled, I've done it while I've had birthdays, I've done it through Christmas, it becomes something that you just do forever. And that's really one of the big goals that you should all have. So that's hunger is too high, energy is too low, strength is dropping, an inability to be consistent, it's not sustainable. Number 5, the most obvious one, which I wasn't going to say, but I didn't want to stop at 4, I needed a 5th. Joking. But number 5, you're not actually getting results. This again would seem like an obvious one, but strangely, I'm laughing because it's funny to me that men will say stuff like, I've been going to the gym, I've been eating well, nothing's really happened, I'm not really losing weight, my clothes aren't getting looser, but I'm hopeful if I carry on, my body it will shock my body at some point and I'll get results. Or very similar, I lost 4 or 5 kilos and that stopped about 2 months ago. Really, I get this all the time. 2-3 months ago, I haven't really seen any progress, but I'm just going to carry on. I'm sure at some point it will work. I have to just keep going. Honestly, if you've hit a wall, if you hit a plateau, or you are not seeing progress in terms of weight, body composition, in terms of body fat, overall look, so your photographs aren't showing an improvement, your measurements aren't showing an improvement, you're not seeing progress for a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, months, the nutrition plan is now wrong for you. It's a massive sign. Now, the actual structure might be right for you. So if you've done all the other things and it's adaptable and you're doing all the other things I talk about, that's right for you. But the things that need to change are your calories, because what's happened is, and I'll use my hands here, but this is your calorie deficit. This is your gap in energy. You need this much food and you're giving yourself this much food. And because there's a gap in energy, your body uses your stored energy, which is your fat, and it starts to go down. As you do that, you become a lighter human being. Your metabolism slows down a little bit. And typically what happens as well, people often, especially if you've made the mistake of you've got bad energy levels and your performance is low, people tend to move a bit less. So over time, this is how many calories you needed. This is how many calories you gave yourself over the course of several weeks. Your body starts to adapt until the calories you need to stay at whatever weight you are match what you're giving them. You've hit maintenance. At that point, you could carry on following everything you're doing for the rest of your life, and it probably won't change very much. Something has to change. So yes, the nutrition strategy as a whole might be right for you, whether that's low carb or flexible, paleo or vegan, whether that's you've decided to do running and 3 strength sessions. All those things might be right, but the details are now wrong. The calories you are giving yourself and or the number of calories you're burning, because what you now need to do is establish this gap again. So you can eat a little bit less, you can burn more calories, or a bit of both. What essentially happens is you need to get back into that energy deficit so that your body goes back to tapping into its stored fat. Don't just think to yourself, yeah, I'll persevere, I'm sure it will start working. And what typically happens with most people is they get frustrated during those plateaus. So there are 5 signs, and if you know them, if you know what to look out for, you can make changes. So because all of these things will typically lead to the same issue, and that is frustration, or just a sense that this is too hard to follow. Like, you're always hungry, especially if they're all happening, which is very common. I'm always hungry, I'm always tired, I'm not enjoying my gym sessions, I can't even follow it because it's so strict, it doesn't work. And then now I'm stuck. I've been doing this for 5 weeks and nothing's changing. What's the point? A lot of men just experience all of those things. And then it's no wonder so many of you decide to give up. Well, not even decide, but kind of almost forced to give up. So keep an eye out for those signs. Be prepared to make changes. And this is why, as a final point, if you're not following a plan, so if we get on the phone together, I did a Zoom, and you said to me, Phil, I'm always hungry. I'm struggling in the gym at the moment. And quite frankly, I've, lost 3 kilos, but nothing's happening. I'd be thinking, hey, what do we change? Well, we need to change calories. Maybe we need to add in carbohydrates. Maybe we need to reduce cardio. We definitely need to get the calorie deficit back. And I might say to you, cool, well, give me the information. How many calories are you eating on average? How many steps are you doing? How much protein are you eating? And all that, how much cardio are you doing? And you might be like, I don't really know. I'll get guys say stuff like, oh, I'm eating between 1,500 and 2,500. It's like, that's 1,000 calorie difference. It's a massive difference. This is why having a structure and numbers to hit is important. This is why we say don't wing it. This is why we say have all the data. So like when clients come into my coaching program and they are given all that information, it's very easy to follow. Probably takes them about a week or 2, a little bit of a learning curve for some of them, to kind of understand portion sizes and food choices, and to find the time to get the cardio right, for us to get it all locked in. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks, but once they do, it all runs like clockwork. And then on a weekly basis, when they check in, I can look at the results. I can ask them about their hunger, their energy. They fill out a form, has all that information in it. This is all information that I would want to see. And based on their responses, I can decide whether or not we don't change anything, because we don't change something that isn't broken. That's silly. Or if it does need changing for any of these reasons, they're hungry, their energy is low, their strength is poor, they're not seeing results, it doesn't feel adaptable, then I can decide, okay, what do I need to teach them something? Do I need to change something? And then we don't waste any time. We just make changes and they crack on. So there's 5 things that you should look out for so that you know that your nutrition is wrong. I'll probably do the same thing for your workouts on Monday, and then you'll have an idea of things to keep an eye on. If you would like help with that though, because you're busy, and instead of you doing it, you could just outsource it to me. I could be the one that keeps an eye on this stuff. I could give you all the things to follow, and all you have to do every single day is open up an app, look at the details, and take your steps, take action. Very, very easy process when someone is telling you what to do, how to do it, and making sure you do it and changing it when it needs changing. If that sounds appealing to you, then send me a message with the word nutrition, and we'll go from there. We'll have a chat, see where you are right now, see what you've tried in the past, try and identify 2 or 3 of your big problems and what's actually holding you back. What do we need to fix? Can I fix it? And if so, we'll go from there. And if not, maybe I'll refer you to someone else. Right, that's enough. I've done over 1 kilometer. My walking pad stops counting at 1 and doesn't tell you till you've done 2. So I'm gonna have to write that down just as 1, which is annoying. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be back on Monday.